Mr. Speaker. There are so many aspects to the housing crisis, and we know that for many Canadians, the question of affordable housing, the ability to ever be able to buy a home of their own, for many people just even to find a place that they can rent, this is a multifaceted problem. And again, I am really pleased the federal government is back in the business of paying attention to the housing crisis. But in struggling with it for my own community, and this is a bit outside the box, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to ask the honourable member if there could be a way that we started figuring out problems in ways that were more collaborative, cooperative, and community-based. My suggestion is this. Where I live, land prices are through the roof. I have seniors in my riding who really want to downsize, but know once they sell their house, there's no place they can live in their community. And I also have young people struggling to find a place to live. We also have inadequate home care. We have seniors who are living on their own. One solution could be if the government, and I don't know, or it would be private sector, but I'd rather it was nonprofit, found a way to mix and match. Screen young couples who want to live with an older person. Help them find a way to share a house, share the accommodation without all the rigmarole of the bylaws and nanny suites and approvals and costs. Just help people find each other who would make their lives better intergenerationally.
The Honourable Parliament Secretary.
Question. And this housing program embraces just that kind of collaboration and cooperation. There's a great co-housing movement that we are talking to as part of the process moving forward that actually does that work of matching people together to create co-housing solutions when people need companionship as well as housing in order to thrive in their housing. The co-op housing sector does it as well, as do other organizations that provide support to tenant groups, which is also included in the complexity and the all-encompassing reach that this housing strategy has put in place. So the co-investment fund as well also brings together and rewards collaboration. We look for those partnerships, in particular with municipal governments and service providers. We have a great program for veterans coming out of Bala. A Legion surrendered their parking lot to a housing program. They're building units of affordable housing for seniors, but also accessible housing for injured vets. And they're volunteering time from the Legion in for service. The city is waiving development fees, and we're providing financing and a grant to get that project going. It's exactly the kind of collaboration that was unavailable to housing providers under the Conservatives. They didn't like cooperation and collaboration. In fact, they would pull CMHC funding if you had veterans funding on the site. That's their approach. We are rewarding that approach and making sure it happens. And I want to just take this one opportunity to tell the leader of the Green Party that she failed to mention the environment. I'm shocked. But one of the ways to make housing more affordable is actually to make it reduce its greenhouse gas emissions and consumption of energy. We have a great program in Nanaimo, 36 units of housing that have built as passive housing under the Innovation Fund by an Indigenous Friendship Centre outside the Indigenous Housing Program, but part of our program. And that particular housing program has supportive housing for youth aging out of care. It has places for elders to live and for families to live with common room and supports in a community setting. It's beautifully designed in the West Plank tradition. But get this. Because it's passive housing, the heating and cooling costs are $20 a month. Better housing, cheaper housing, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. When you embrace complexity, you get brilliant solutions. And when you open up the housing policy to everybody, including Indigenous partners that have some brilliant ideas, you get the best housing this country has ever produced. That's come out of the National Housing Strategy. And if the member from Durham would like to come and visit some housing programs, as opposed to talk about the language I use, I could show him from coast to coast to coast projects that would take his breath away and may even make him decide to reinvest in housing if he ever got back into government, which ain't going to happen soon.